Greetings, beloved chosen ones. Do not mock the quiet souls among you. For some are sacred conversations God is still holding with Himself. Let that truth settle in your hearts. Right now, somewhere, a man is being laughed off the stage he built for his own pride, unaware the curtains have already closed. He thought mocking a chosen one was a display of strength, a mark of power, untouchable and unyielding. But he did not know heaven has a divine sense of humor, and it always laughs last. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal narcissists overestimate their influence by as much as 300% in social settings. In other words, he truly believed he humbled you. Now he struts as the king of ashes, confused by the sideways smiles around him. Chosen ones, a silent protection surrounds you, one fool's mistake for passivity. When arrogance dares to violate that sacred space, it's not you they answer to. It's the unseen contracts, the realms they deny, the consequences they unknowingly signed up for when they crossed you. Oh, he didn't know this would happen. Prepare yourselves, for what follows is a divine comedy, poetic and profound. Let us explore this truth together. First, the greatest setup in the universe is arrogance mistaking itself for invincibility. He believed he was untouchable, that his charm, his influence, his ability to manipulate made him a god. That's the trap, the cruel jest of the universe, letting the arrogant believe they're divine until they collide with God's sacred contracts. That's what happened when he came for you. He thought it was a game, a chance to outsmart or overpower someone weaker. But you were no ordinary soul. You were assigned, covered, protected by something ancient, precise. Your life is not random, it is prophetic. Every step, every season, even the pain, is woven into a blueprint he couldn't comprehend. So when he came against you, it wasn't mere betrayal or manipulation. It was a trespass into holy territory, a violation of the divine. Heaven doesn't shout its response, it strategizes. The backlash didn't come as lightning, but as collapse. Subtle, then sudden, strategic, measured. Every piece of his life now moves backward, not because you sought revenge, but because he touched what was sacred. The chessboard reset, and he's outmatched by moves he cannot see. This isn't mere karma, a simple cause and effect. This is prophecy, a consequence etched in spiritual law. You don't challenge someone carrying heaven's blueprint and expect your house to stand. He provoked a prophecy, and now his ego's empire folds inward, slowly, surgically, because the universe is meticulous. His downfall wasn't you. It was believing he could touch you without touching God. Second, he laughed at your silence, but now that silence echoes his shame. He mocked your quietness, thinking it signaled defeat, as if you had no words, no comeback. He mistook your peace for passivity, but your silence wasn't weakness. It was wisdom, divine restraint. You stayed quiet not out of fear, but because you knew you were protected. You didn't need to react, for what unfolded behind the scenes was louder than any words. Arrogant souls despise silence. It exposes them, forces them to keep performing, to keep convincing the crowd they're in control. Your silence unnerved him, though he hid it behind louder mockery. Now, that same silence he ridiculed surrounds him, not with peace but with isolation, shame, the absence of applause, the absence of the energy that once fed his ego. The crowd that laughed at you now watches him, confused, embarrassed for him. The one who mocked your silence is swallowed by it, a silence he cannot escape, one that arrives when truth rises, when exposure begins, when energies shift. You didn't need to defend yourself. to argue or shout. The silence he scorned now haunts him, for when a chosen one goes quiet, heaven begins to speak, and that sound is undeniable. Third, he didn't realize the weapon formed wasn't against you. It was him, his ego, his words, his need to feel superior. Those were the weapons, crafted by his own hands. He sharpened every insult, every rumor, every manipulative act, thinking he gained power by stepping on you. But he was digging his own grave. The strategies he used to destroy you became the tools that exposed him. He aimed his hate at a chosen one, pulling the trigger on his own downfall. Not because you fought back, but because your protection came from purpose, not popularity. He thought he was hurting a person. He didn't know he was disrupting a divine mission. When you're on assignment, anything that tries to sabotage you doesn't just fail, it collapses. His calculated schemes, his laughter, his games in the dark, they're all returning to him now, heavy and relentless. The same mouth that tore you down now describes his fall. The schemes he used to tarnish you now cling to his name. You didn't lift a finger. He was the weapon, and the universe let him self-destruct. That's what happens when people don't understand who they're challenging. He sought to break you, unaware he was breaking himself, one move at a time. Fourth, chosen ones activate ancient laws without even knowing it. They think you're just another person, reacting, surviving. But you carry a spiritual coding, quiet yet powerful. When someone violates you with intent, they don't just cross a boundary, they trip a wire. What follows isn't personal payback, but a response from forces they never believed in. He thought it was a game of ego, of pride or arguments. He didn't realize your soul is part of a larger design, selected, protected, marked. The piece he tried to destroy wasn't ordinary. It was a divine assignment. By disrupting it, he disturbed a sacred order. That's why his world crumbles now, slowly, without warning. Not by coincidence, but by law. These are spiritual mechanisms, older than any religion or kingdom. Laws that proclaim, "Touch not my anointed." Not because you're superior, but because your purpose is greater than they see. He tried to rearrange sacred geometry with bare hands, and it never ends well. His chaos isn't unfair. It's balance, responding not with anger, but with precision. You didn't seek revenge or wish him harm. You stayed aligned. And when you're aligned, the laws fight for you. Fifth, his laughter was never victory. It was a nervous whistle past the graveyard of his soul. That laughter wasn't strength, but a mask, a shaky sound to drown out the truth of his hollowness. He mocked you not because you were weak, but because your presence exposed what he lacked. Your strength, resilience, and peace pierced the image he crafted. So he laughed to feel bigger, mocked to feel relevant, all while terrified of exposure. Arrogance stems from fear, not confidence. True confidence is quiet. Arrogance performs, needing a crowd to survive. He kept you beneath him in his mind to avoid facing his emptiness. You were never the punchline. You were the mirror. Now the silence around him reveals the truth. Insecurity dressed as ego. The more he clings to that old arrogance, the clearer it becomes. It was never power, just fear on stage. The real joke was on him, thinking he could write your story. His mocking laughter wasn't a win. It was a warning, now echoing back, reminding him that what he tried to bury in humor has risen in truth. Sixth, the fall of the arrogant is not dramatic, it's surgical. It's not a loud spectacle, but a calculated dismantling, starting small. People stop replying to his messages, his influence slips, His charm falters. Arrogance blinds him to the unraveling, but the consequences arrive quietly. The crowd that laughed with him now keeps their distance. His jokes fall flat. His confidence looks desperate. Every layer of his image peels away, not by force, but by exposure. The platform he used to belittle you crumbles beneath him, built on pride, not truth. The universe doesn't rush when correcting arrogance. It lets him unravel in full view, so those who believed in his performance see the truth. This isn't punishment. It's precision, revealing the illusion he wielded. The spotlight he used to humiliate you now burns through his mask, and he can't turn it off. You didn't need to fight or clap back. You stayed aligned, and arrogance falls not with noise, but with exposure, thorough and merciless. 7th, he thought your suffering made you weak, but it encrypted your wisdom. He saw your pain as failure, your struggles as inferiority. He was wrong. Every wound unlocked something ancient, powerful, accessible only to the chosen. While he chased validation, you received divine downloads. Your scars aren't just proof of survival. They're encoded with wisdom earned through betrayal, loss, and dark nights. He saw bruises and thought you were broken, but they were spiritual data, embedding clarity into your soul. Pain taught you what books cannot. Who's loyal, what's real, what illusions to shatter. That clarity is your superpower. He still thinks he's ahead, playing games for reactions, unaware you've moved beyond ego, beyond his petty moves. You hacked the board while he moved pawns. Divine wisdom doesn't announce itself. It shows up when it matters, rearranging everything. He mocked your scars, but they made you untouchable, operating on a frequency he'll never reach. While he flexed, you transformed, and transformation always triumphs. 8th, the universe isn't exposing him for your revenge. It's using him as a warning label. This isn't about satisfying your pain, but about clarity. He's a case study, caution tape for all to see. He disrespected purpose, violated the sacred, thinking it was petty drama. But the universe sees you as a vessel, carrying something crucial. When someone tries to sabotage that, the universe calibrates, setting the record straight. Not for your ego, but to prevent others from repeating his mistake. His unraveling is a lesson, not because you wished it, but because spiritual laws demand exposure follow dishonor. The crowd that laughed with him now learns, seeing the cost of mocking what they didn't understand. You didn't defend yourself or prove your worth. The universe handled it, surgically, poetically, publicly. His downfall isn't your satisfaction. It's the sacred order restored. A warning for anyone who dares tear down someone carrying divine fire. He's a footnote in your testimony, stamped with, "Don't do what he did." 9th, the power he thought he had was on loan. It looked real, status, charm, connections, but it was borrowed, not earned through truth. He used it recklessly, to humiliate, to manipulate, believing it had no expiration. But borrowed power comes with terms. When he weaponized it against someone divinely protected, the lease was revoked. The universe doesn't reclaim quietly when arrogance gets loud. He's losing what made him untouchable, and it's public. Not to embarrass, but to reveal the throne he sat on wasn't his. The confidence wasn't real. The platform was staged. The audience he entertained watches him scramble as the mask slips and applause fades. His name, narrative, influence, all return to zero. Not because he lost a game, but because he broke a contract. You didn't get even. The universe called the debt, and the balance is paid with exposure, loss, and the truth that his power was never truly his. 10th, he underestimated spiritual backing because he couldn't measure it in clout. In his world, power is status, followers, loud wins. Your quiet walk, your lack of aggression, made him assume you were weak, unprotected. He confused humility with powerlessness, not seeing the ancient, unbuyable backing you carried. Spiritual rank doesn't flex or seek validation, it moves. While he performed, you were covered by something deeper, responding to truth, not showmanship. He mocked you, thinking you were unarmed, but your weapons were divine. Now, as his performance collapses, he's alone in the silence, deafening and empty. The money, followers, dominance, all gone, revealed as fear in costume. You stand untouched, elevated, not because you proved anything, but because your backing was structural, rooted, assigned. Spiritual rank shifts atmospheres, commands reality, and no clout can rival it. 11th, mocking a chosen one is mocking a blueprint you'll never understand. He laughed at your life because it didn't fit his formula of success. Wealth, fame, control. Your delays looked like dead ends. Your isolation like rejection. He didn't see your life was a divine schematic, encrypted beyond his grasp. Mocking you wasn't petty. It was spiritual ignorance. He judged from the surface, calling your alignment weakness, your timing failure. But you moved in a system that bends reality, building legacies in silence. Now the joke unravels, and it's on him, mocking divine architecture with crayons. He wasn't equipped to grasp your purpose, and instead of honoring it, he ridiculed it. Sacred things don't bow to ridicule. They reveal. Your life is coded, every delay calculated, every loss a redirection. You're a template, readable only by those with spiritual access, and he stands outside the gate, locked out by his own ignorance. 12th, when he laughed at your pain, he bonded with every energy that sought to destroy you, and now they've turned on him. That laughter wasn't harmless. It sealed a spiritual agreement, aligning him with every force that tried to break you. He mocked transformation in progress, scorning holy ground. The universe doesn't overlook that. He yoked himself to destruction, and those energies, allowed for your refinement, not your ruin, now circle back to him. He thought it was clever, but that laughter signed a contract with darkness, and spiritual laws hold him accountable. Judgment arrived, precise and thorough, collecting him for mocking what heaven was molding. He didn't just laugh, he spiritually married a fate he chose with his own mouth. 13th, he didn't just hurt you, he signed a karmic subpoena. He thought it was a power move, a way to control the narrative, to wound without consequence. But he tampered with a soul under divine surveillance. Every tear you shed was documented by unseen forces, not out of pity, but by law. His actions, humiliation, lies, abandonment, triggered a cosmic summons. His name etched into a karmic ledger that never forgets. That ledger doesn't rush or miss, operating in balance, not revenge. At first, nothing happened. He gloated, spun the story. But the silence was build-up, preparing a stage for exposure. Karmic justice doesn't whisper, it performs. His twisted reality collapses. His supporters turn away. His structures erode. He's touched publicly, relentlessly, because the ledger settles in spectacle. He signed a contract he didn't read, and judgment delivers the divine receipt. Itemized, complete, non-negotiable. 14th, the same people who laughed with him now laugh at him, for collective delusion turns to collective disgust. The applause he cherished has faded, the crowd that echoed his mockery now cold. Their laughter isn't joyful, it's uncomfortable, the kind that comes when they realize they backed a lie. He sold a false version of you, small, broken, laughable, and they bought it, swayed by his charisma. But reality pulled the curtain, revealing you as grounded, dignified, chosen. They're embarrassed, not just for their words, but for being so easily misled. His confidence rots into exposure, his power into humiliation. He's seen, defenseless, loud, with no echo. You didn't fight back or retaliate. You let silence, powered by restraint and spiritual confidence, work. Vindication speaks louder than any clapback, not through revenge, but through reversal, the contrast between their lies and your truth. The crowd disowns him, not from enlightenment, but from hating their own error. They were wrong about you, terribly wrong. There's divine poetry in this unfolding. They laughed at what they couldn't grasp, mocked what they couldn't measure. They called your endurance weakness, your silence defeat, your purity naivety. But every misread step was a deeper stride into your divine assignment. While they built thrones of gossip and ego, you were carved, quietly, painfully, faithfully, into something eternal. The tables haven't just turned, they've transformed. This wasn't about revenge, it was about revelation. Every laugh, smear, and betrayal wrote them into the prophecy they tried to sabotage. He thought you were the joke, but sacred things cannot be mocked without consequence. He played with the holy, and now his borrowed power collapses. You stand, elevated, preserved, untouched. Not by luck, but by laws he never studied. Backed by a realm he never acknowledged. You didn't need to expose him or fight for validation. The universe that watched your suffering now vindicates you, louder, clearer, more poetic than you could have scripted. So walk forward, not bitter, not boastful, but aware, fully aware of who you are and the heavenly fire surrounding your life. When you're truly chosen, your story doesn't end in retaliation. It ends in revelation, for you and for all who doubted your value. That is the final laugh. If this truth stirs your spirit, don't stay silent. Like the video to let the algorithm know this matters. Comment below. Share which part moved you most. I read every word. Pass this to someone who needs to hear divine justice never misses. If you're not yet part of this family, subscribe now, turn on the bell, and never miss when truth speaks again. This isn't just a channel, it's a spiritual awakening. Let's keep building, rising, shaking this world with light.